Well, hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video, and this is going to be my review of Avatar: The Way of Water. So Avatar: The Way of Water is finally out in theaters 13 years later. We've been waiting for this for an entire 13 years. The first one came out back in 2009. Oh my god. By the way guys, I have something to show you. Here is my first ticket of Avatar back in January 2010, and now here I am. December 2022. Oh my god, this is insane. Like, I still have, don't ask me why I still have it. I still have it. I remember when the first film came out, it was just so mind-blowing and groundbreaking. The VFX, the CGI, everything. It was an absolutely magical movie, and I loved it very much. I was such a fan and everything. I even played the video game. I remember, like, even in high school, I was like talking to friends and like, hey, when's the new Avatar gonna come out? We weren't even close to the movie coming out, and now here we are, and I just can't fucking believe it. Honestly, James Cameron is probably like one of my favorite directors, 100% for sure. I just love that he just works outside the Hollywood system, and he doesn't need to meet a deadline, and he takes his time doing the research, developing technology, going underwater, like in the deepest in the ocean or something like that. Like, you can tell this guy's not just doing these movies just to make a quick buck, but he's doing this because he's passionate about making films, and I really respect him for that. I mean, the guy already shot a small part of Avatar 4, and it hasn't even been greenlit by the studio yet. So that says a lot, guys. Now, I'm actually not really a big fan of 3D and high frame rate, but you know, like when the movie kind of like was about to start, I was like getting worried. I was like, it's been a while. I haven't even seen 3D since 2016, I think, and I haven't seen high frame rate since the last Hobbit movie. Like, even before the movie started, they played a trailer for the new Ant-Man, and when I saw the 3D, I was just like, no, I don't want to see Ant-Man in 3D or anything else. But once Avatar started, it just worked. Everything just worked. The 3D, the high frame rate. I didn't expect myself to actually feel satisfied with the 3D and the high frame rate. Like, and this is coming from someone who doesn't like 3D or even high frame rate. And of course, I cannot talk about Avatar without actually talking about the visuals, because this is another groundbreaking movie, I have to say. You just look at everything, the details, the improved CGI, like the pores on the skin, the wrinkles, the body hair, everything is just all there. It's like fully detailed. It's insane, guys. Like, I truly sat there in the theater thinking that this was shot for real. Like, not once did I believe that this was CGI or motion capture. Like, this shit was real, guys. I actually rewatched the first Avatar like about a week ago, and for the most part, the CGI holds up actually very well, except for a few scenes here and there where it kind of looks a bit outdated. But when you walk into this film, you're really just in awe and wonder for the entire runtime, I'm telling you. Like, that's how magical this movie is. Like, you won't be blown away like you were in 2009 when you saw the first Avatar, but you're still gonna be blown away. Also, my goodness, the underwater scenes are incredible, guys. You can just tell how everything was thought out and planned out in production design and everything. The water plants, the rocks, the sand, like everything is carefully detailed, and it's a wonder. It's a magnificent wonder to watch on the biggest screen. And yes, you better go watch this film on the biggest screen possible, because it's absolutely worth it. So I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and it also had high frame rate as well. And like I said at the beginning, I'm not a big fan of 3D, not a big fan of high frame rate. But let me tell you why it actually works here. Because, for example, in the Hobbit movie, you know, even though there were lots of CGI, the scenes still involved like human actors. So when you see them in high frame rate, it kind of looks a bit weird in a way. But in here, in Avatar, everything is CGI, but actually very good CGI. So that is the biggest reason why the 3D and the high frame rate really works for Avatar: The Way of Water. So now let's talk about the characters in this movie. So of course, you get Sam Worthington back as Jake Sully, Zoe Saldana back as Neytiri, Sigourney Weaver is actually back as a new character. Her name is Kiri, and she plays one of the daughters of Jake and Neytiri. And Stephen Lang is back as Colonel Quaritch, which I won't spoil how he comes back, but just watch for yourself. And overall, all the returning cast members all did an incredible job, and Zoe Saldana still proves that she's probably the best actress in all these two Avatar movies. Like, honestly, Neytiri is actually, I'm just gonna say it, but it's actually her best performance as an actress. I'm just gonna say that. Now, this film mostly centers around the children of Jake and Neytiri, and at first I was a bit worried about how I wasn't really gonna care about these new characters. But I just realized like halfway through the film, I was like really invested, and I actually cared about these characters' lives. In terms of story-wise, you know, this is still a James Cameron movie, so of course you're not gonna get a groundbreaking type of story. It's not gonna be complex. It's very simple. Sometimes they're predictable, and this film kind of follows part of the same formula as the first film. But I will say this: even like near the end of the film, there is a certain tragedy. I won't say it, but you know, even though I saw it from a mile away and it was kind of predictable, I saw it coming, I still felt emotion, and like I was still on the edge of my seat. I was actually worried, I was stressed out. Like I was like honestly during that scene, I almost teared up. I'm not gonna lie. I almost teared up. I felt emotion. It was very emotional, and yeah, I felt like there was a bit of water in my eyes. But it worked. It worked. Even though it was predictable, it worked. It got to me. It got to me. So to me, anyway, it doesn't merely matter if it feels familiar and it's repeating, has some of the same beats as the first movie. What matters is that it manages to kind of like still make you feel something, still make me feel emotion, and this is exactly what this film does. And I truly believe that James Cameron always delivers in terms of that aspect. There's even a scene near the end where Neytiri does something kind of shocking. She's in a situation where it feels familiar from like other movies, but it still got me stressed out. It still got me on the edge of my seat. Like I was still like nervous about what she was gonna do. And like I'm not gonna sit here and complain about how this film is just the same thing as the first movie, how I want it to fail, how Avatar is so outdated, blah blah blah. Yeah, whatever. No, I'm not one of those people. Now I'm gonna get into some negatives, but these are really just nitpicks because I pretty much think this movie is almost flawless. Now there's this new character named Spider, and he's kind of like he was a baby in the first movie, and he's one of the humans that got left behind and stuff. And then he grows up and he's a teenager. He's hanging out with Jake and Neytiri's kids, basically like a Tarzan situation. But I won't spoil it. But the way they came up with his backstory, in a way, it felt a bit lazy and convenient for the plot. It wasn't really well developed in a way. There's also a big chunk in the middle of the movie where it's just literally shots of like the kids kind of like training, like a big montage of them training underwater, and this is just basically like a visual like montage, a montage of showing the visuals of the movie, and it goes on for quite a while. And I'm not saying that I was bored or it was uninteresting. It was still very entertaining for sure, but at the same time I kind of just wanted the story to kind of move forward in a way. Also, the soundtrack by Simon Franklin is absolutely brilliant. At first I was worried because James Horner is not part of this movie because he sadly passed away in 2015. And then now Simon Franklin took over as the composer for this movie. But I feel like he did a magnificent job at making the score sound familiar, sound very James Horner style, while also being very unique at the same time. Overall, the Avatar: The Way of Water is still a cinematic achievement. The production design, the perfect CGI, the score, making me actually enjoy the 3D and the high frame rate, even though I'm not a big fan of those. And even though the film tells a familiar story and at times predictable, James Cameron still manages to make me feel emotion, whether it's excitement, wonder, sadness, crowd-pleasing moments. That is the biggest praise I can give for this film. And just like Top Gun Maverick, this is the perfect example of like, they don't make movies like this anymore. And that this is the kind of movie that's made for the big screen. And I'm truly grateful that we're getting a blockbuster of this caliber in this day and age. And with that, I'm gonna give Avatar: The Way of Water a 9 out of 10. It's funny because when I got out of the theater for this movie, there was like a huge lineup like for the next showing of this movie, and I was like, holy shit, this is the power of James Cameron right here. This just shows that it doesn't matter if it took 13 years for this movie to come out, James Cameron still manages to get butts into seats. So for all you Avatar and James Cameron haters, never bet against James Cameron. So what did you think of Avatar: The Way of Water? Let me know in the comments, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next time.